the exact and direct what you want. Say, hey, I'm starting this nonprofit. I sold my car for $10,000. I want you to give $5,000. What do you say? And be very direct. Because the worst they can say is no, you know. And it's not. I feel like if you're asking people for their money to help poor people in China, I feel like it's totally fine. It's not like I'm asking them to go on a shopping spree. I'm asking them to help people that are less fortunate than themselves. And then on the infrastructure side, develop a good set of PR materials. The only way we got, we got the capital we did to start with was because we had a great business plan. And Casey and I spent about 2 months developing it and then getting graphic designers to make it beautiful. People were blown away by that, and it really helped us get all of our sponsorships with all of the different organizations we got really early. And then, as I said before, use those materials to get sponsors. In terms of operations, be flexible. We have had more failure than we've had success. And I think every startup probably feels the same way. And really be willing to change with where your organization is going. When I talk about where Wokai is going in the future, it's later on in the presentation, it's nothing where we originally intended it to go. But just judging from how the organization has really evolved, you have to be willing to be flexible. Maintain personal contact with everyone. When we first started building our chapter network, we had 6 chapters, 1 in LA, 1 in San Diego, 1 in DC, as well as our 3. And I felt really stretched, and like I would show up at chapters and not know who the people were, we eventually had to close 3 chapters because I just wanted to know every single person to let them know how much I cared, that they were really betting on us and putting their time in our organization. So it's really important to maintain personal contact. Create structure and ownership. I think the reason our chapters work, I call it structured chaos, is that we have a way that we do things in terms of a monthly meeting, and then we have a monthly happy hour. And then we have certain agenda templates and meeting minutes and dial-in templates that everyone uses. And it is very structured, but it's also very chaotic. But I think it's important to have a little bit of structure. And then allow people to create ownership. The reason why our chapters have really excelled is because I haven't been involved that much. I think the best thing is to allow chapter presidents and the leadership committees to really make it their own. So Alice Wu, who's our San Francisco chapter president, really knows everyone in the chapter much more than I do. It's her chapter. She established it. She has a sense of ownership and a sense of pride in growing it. Increase information flow as much as possible. You can never have too much information flow. We have a dial-in, we have Basecamp, we have templates, we have PR materials. We also send way too many emails. I get 40 in a day. I have my own Wokai email because it's flooded my work account so much. As I said before, encourage group work over individual work. It'll cut down your time immensely. Casey and I used to have to read over documents over and over and over again when it was one individual volunteering. But if you put a group of 5 individuals in a group and you give them a project and they bounce ideas off of each other, it's a checks and balance system, and the end result you're going to get in the work they produce is so much better than if one person produced it in a vacuum. Most importantly, establish a feedback mechanism. All of the chapters have gotten tons of feedback about how horrible I am, or how horrible Casey is, or how we're strung too thin, or we're broke, and all these problems. And they feel comfortable telling the chapter presidents, who then feel comfortable telling us, because they know that we want to know so we can make the organization better. But it's really important to have that feedback mechanism, otherwise you can't fix anything. And then technology. When we first started out with this site, someone told me, oh God, you're going to develop you're trying to develop a website, you're going to just horror stories. And so we tried to be thoughtful and create a group of tech people that actually knew what they were talking about to interview developers, and we still, lost a ton of money. Maybe not as much as we originally thought we were going to lose, but still, it's horrible creating a tech nonprofit or a tech website not being a tech person. But it's possible. So number 1, find out what you like. Look at the sites you like. Be sure exactly what it is you like about them, and be able to articulate that in a mock-up. What Casey and I first showed our first set of developers, and what we showed our third set of developers, was a completely different thing. There's one thing to do the whole front end of the site, and it's quite another to do the whole back end of the site. So there's, for example, the Wokai, the whole back end of our website, we have many different platforms. We have an administrative platform that Casey and I will sign on to moderate what's going on at the site. We have a different back end for our borrowers. We also have a different back end for volunteers who are going on and translating materials. And we'll also have a chapter back end. So all those different back ends and figuring out how they all work together through those 3 different tabs is really confusing. We didn't even really understand it ourselves until we started to dive in deeper. And that really helps your developers if you have a very clean outline of exactly everything you want. Find a technology assessment team if you're not a technology person. It's the best thing we ever did. I'd hate to see where we were if we didn't. Establish well-defined contracts, milestones, goal-oriented payment schedules. It's really important that you don't pay all your money up front because we would have lost a ton of money if we had done so. We really tried to stagger how much we gave them so we could pull the ripcord at any time. Break the site into pieces. As I said before, we're launching our Learn platform. We're gonna learn from users what we need to change and what not, and then we can launch our second platform after that. It also keeps people interested. There's something to go back to. In another month there'll be another tab, and in another month there'll be another tab, and then post that you can keep launching new functions. And develop the site openly. I think it's really important. What we didn't do in the beginning is we kept it closed as for the first couple months, and I don't think that's beneficial. If we had to do it over again, we would have developed the site openly. As I told all you guys, it's pilot.wokai.org. That way you get feedback and you get to really see how it works. And then don't be afraid to pull the plug. If you feel like you don't trust your developer or you don't like where the site's going, just cut your losses and start over. So who are we today? What have we grown into? So we have our headquarters in Beijing, China. We have 4 Wokai staff that are paid for the next 2 months. CEO, COO, Director of Marketing, and then our Director of Field Partnerships. We are looking to bring on a CTO, and we may bring on the people who developed our site, but we're really trying to see if maybe we can bring in maybe I think a more adept CTO. Our developers are great, but they take such a long time. So it'd be great if we could bring in someone who could just learn the system and really grow it. We have 2 field partners. We have 3 U.S. chapters, 75 volunteers, and we are launching at the end of the month phase 1 of our website. So our beta site, we completed 100 beta testers, our second round of 100 beta testers, so in total 200 beta testers, and we've actually dispersed 150 loans. The woman who I mentioned at the front of the presentation was our 10th borrower that we've actually given the loan to. So what we're doing right now, I'm building our board of directors, and we're establishing rules and responsibilities and how we want to structure our board, especially with kind of our headquarters here in San Francisco, since I'm here and Casey also lives here when her family's from here, so when she visits home, she comes here. But then we also want to establish advisory boards for our chapters, so figuring out that model. Fundraising, we launched an email fundraising campaign. As I said before, we're broke, but it always seems to work out, so I'm not worried about it. But when we launched our email fundraising campaign with our chapters, the goal of raising $50,000 through the retail model. And in 3 weeks, we've raised about $15,000. And so we're going to continue that until hopefully we fill it. And maybe the stimulus of launching the actual site will get more people giving to our organization. We're also developing major donor outreach materials and plan to reach out to foundations and wealthy individuals. We're developing a chapter fundraising plan. Our goal, so for our budget in year 1 is $175,000. I know that seems like a lot, but there's a lot of money up front, and then you scale it with the amount of borrowers and users you have on your site. So year 1 it's $175,000, and then it grows to about $210,000 or $220,000. So all in, you're about $400,000, $500,000 for 2 years of operation. And it's a lot of money, but our operational costs actually decrease after that. So how are we going to raise that money? We're focusing on year 1 of $175,000. And we're really just trying to build up our organization so that we can go around and pitch to people who would potentially be interested in the site. We're really trying to steer away from traditional nonprofit event type fundraisers like annual dinners and those things, because that's not what we're about. We're a retail fundraising model, so we really want to use retail fundraising needs.
If I can ask a question.
Yeah.
$175, that's for your operational cost, or that's part of your loan as well?
No. So when you give $25 on our website, that $25 is fully going to a borrower. Before you check out, we give you an option to add on a 10% Wokai contribution, so you can add on $250, and that will go to our operations, which is a very low operational cost for a nonprofit. 10% for operations is very small. So you can see where if you have 1,000 users, that's not going to help you that much. But if you have 100,000 users, that greatly helps your organization operate. So we expect over the first 2 years that we're going to really have to scale up our users, and we're modeling that on keep this growth rate.
So none of that $25 goes to any of the MFIs?
So if you give to no, so the way it works is they're just like a funnel. So that $25, we'll take 6 people's $25, and that becomes a $150 loan. We give that to the field partner, and they give that $150 to the borrower. But what they